Hello.
Hello, Mrs. Tina. How are you?
Yes, welcome to Beauty and the Spirit. I'm Tina Thompson, Miss Tina.
And I am Joseph. Thank you for joining us this evening.
Absolutely. It is September the 11th, a very
Yes.
pivotal point in history, a very turn-pointing time, a time of reflection and deep acknowledgement of the lives that were lost. And the history of the world will never be the same because of 9/11.
It's like incredible to think that it was 19 years ago that that tragedy happened. And it seems like it was just yesterday. And I just want to send all of my condolences to all the families out there that are still dealing with this very tragic incident that happened in our nation's history. It was very scary, and I hope and pray it never happens again.
I hope and pray. In our world right now, we are in such a situation, as you know, that we have to just stay in prayer. Prayer is the answer. I believe in prayer. I believe it not only serves as a form of interaction with you and a higher being, it being God or whatever it is for you. It is for you to acknowledge a place of wellness mentally, spiritually, and physically. I believe it takes you to a moment in time for yourself where you can stop and you can just breathe and take in that life force. And you know that you have purpose and then you can continue on to the next day. So that's what prayer does for me. So I don't know what I would do without prayer. I don't know what I would do without loved ones. I don't know what I would do without you.
I feel the same, Mrs. Tina. You know that. You know it. Yes.
You know it, like a poet. And by the way, we have a poet on here today. You know it like a poet. I'll tell you very soon. But on that note, because today's show it's always about 9/11. It's always about saving lives in the turn points in history and the catastrophic moments that we have as a people, as a world, that will remind us to stay united. We have to stay united because I was just reflecting. That's another show. So keep tuning into Beauty and the Spirit, guys. I just want to remind you that every time you look at our world, there's so much division now. I was just thinking that this is exactly what the enemy wants. He wants us to be divided. This is his time when he can swoop down, honey. Woo! He can swoop down.
And people are running amok, doing whatever they want, not hitting the guidance.
Yes, honey. And you know, listen, you know me and you're going to keep up on here. Man with a hat.
Yes.
But you do know this at the end of the day is you have to be very careful because people wait for they love division. So when the world we all know we have reasons for division. Today's show is not about the political aspects. We're not going to touch on that. I think we all get it. And I think we all know what types of changes we need to get to the next level of humanity and to become a better world and to get to some sense of normalcy. I think we all get that. But what I'm saying is that I do know that any type of enemy, he looks for a weak point, and division is a weak point for people to attack. See, that's how a person divides and conquers. He likes to divide the strength. So the strength in America has always been unity. It's always been, of course, we know on the backs of our forefathers. Yes, okay, I'm telling you, this is not the show today. Trust me, we will go into it. Today's show is about how colorism is also an effect on our minds and our souls in today's society and has traveled with our people from decades. Colorism in all its shapes and forms, all of its prisms, all of its mental its mental blockages that it's caused us. Yes, Woodson?
No, it's so part of how we see ourselves. I know that I had friends, and I've experienced it myself, where, people judge you according to how dark or how light you are. So colorism is a very real thing. It's sad that we in our own community, look at other people who may be a little bit darker complected than us and, kind of put them in sort of a box. It's a really interesting thing. It really comes down to learn how to love yourself and loving the skin that you're in. Like you always tell us, love the skin that you're in. So I'm so glad we're talking about this.
I love talking about, listen, I just live for beauty in the spirit. Let me tell you why. Because I tell you, I, as a choreographer and all the things that we do, and a producer, and U.S. creative director, and social artistic director of Skin, we get it. The reason why I was anointed with that name, Skin, S-K-I-N, it was, I'm telling you, it was given to me. I think all directors and all people who are called for a higher, for a higher calling or a higher purpose, sometimes they can't explain why they're given things, because it's a gift. I believe it's a gift. And he gave it to me because he said, Skin, the Tina Thompson Dance Company, because skin is what we all have. Yes. And skin has also been the thing that people, that's what we're talking about today. As soon as they see your skin, oh, you're this. Oh, you're this. Okay, we'll get into that. I'm comfortable with you because you're a brown paper bag. My mother had to tell me about that. Oh, and I looked at it and I said, oh my God, okay. And then my sister's very fair, and then I have people in my family that are very fair. Then my mother is a little bit fairer than me, but me and my grandmother's lineage and all of us, I'm not going to go into my whole background, but at the end of the day, I'm a Black woman. There's nothing around it. I think today I'm going to just speak my truth like you speak your truth. I have nothing to hide. There's nothing that I'm just trying to see what's going on here. Okay. There's nothing that can hold us back right now, is what I'm saying, on how we feel as a people. It has to come to a place where you can just say, I'm a human being.
Yes.
I'm a human being. And that's it. And you can judge me on my character, and you need to judge me on those things that I have achieved, or I can offer to society, or just look at me on my attributes. But we're not there yet, Woodson. I don't know. What are your thoughts?
No, we're not. And I think, like we were saying, like it starts with the individual person knowing how to love yourself, not allowing outside people to define who you are, and letting those negative comments or even the pop comments affect who you are inside. I think too much these days, people are looking for outside validation, whether it's on social media, Facebook, of course, we all love compliments. By the way, you look beautiful today. I love the eyeshadow and your necklace.
Oh, thank you. Oh, thank
you. Look
you.
festive. But, but we know who we are. So no matter what an outside person says to us, it's not going to change how we feel about ourselves. So I think it starts with doing the work on the inside first, and that will shine through on the outside.
Absolutely.
And it doesn't matter if you're paper brown, honey brown, or chocolate brown. It's all beautiful. All shades.
Right, all shades. And all shades. Look, no shade, all shades. And speaking of shade, listen, there's someone that has experienced a lot of shade, but guess what? She sets the bar, and she's going to give us a word.
Tonight, CBS will air First Lady Michelle Obama's final interview inside the White House with Oprah. In a preview, the First Lady shares her thoughts on being labeled an angry Black woman after President Obama began his campaign for president back in 2007.
When you were labeled that angry Black woman, was that one of the things that knocked you back a bit?
Well, that was one of those things that you just sort of think, dang, you don't even know me.
Yeah.
I mean, you just sort of feel like, wow, where'd that come from?
Yeah.
And that's the first blowback, because you think, wow, that is so not me. But then you sort of think, well, this isn't about me. This is about the person or the people who write it.
Right.
I mean, that's just the truth.
That's what Maya always used to say to me.
Yeah, it's just it's so much about that. And then you start thinking, oh, wow, we're so afraid of each other. Color, wealth, these things that don't matter still play too much of a role in how we see one another. And it's sad, because the thing that least defines us as people is the color of our skin. It's the size of our bank account. None of that matters. You know this.
Yes, of course.
It's our values. It's It's how we live our lives, and you can't tell that from somebody's race, somebody's religion. You know, people have to act it out. They have to live those lives, and so that was the blowback. And then I thought, okay, well, let me live my life out loud, so that people can then see and then judge for themselves. And that's what I want young people to do. Just live your life. You know, live it out loud.
Tonight, CBS will air First Lady.
Wow, isn't that something?
I love it. Live your life out loud. I think that's something that we all are striving to do, you know, especially when you're younger. Sometimes maybe you're a little bit hesitant that you're going to be judged, or like, what are people going to say? But I think as we grow into our skin, we're able to like live our truth, be ourselves, and just redefine those stereotypes, those evil, nasty, ugly stereotypes, particularly those stereotypes that they have of young Black men and Black women, like the angry Black woman. Like, come on now.
Listen, don't let me start talking about the angry Black woman. Sometimes I would be like, yes, this is the day, honey. What is it? Can you feel the brand new day? Can you? I would be coming and going, brand new night, honey, and someone
taking it all out.
But I would just start with my skin, just like, you know, that whole, no, I'd be pulling it back. I said, listen, oh my God, you're so upset. And then sometimes people would just be like, you know, back when I was younger, are you upset, teens? Teens, are you upset today? I'm like, why do you keep asking me if I'm upset? Are you looking for me to be an angry Black woman?
Yeah.
And you know, sometimes I think I'm not just blaming other cultures. Our culture is very responsible for that too. Yes, me and you have talked about that several times. Our culture helps enable other people and other cultures, sometimes who are ignorant of facts about our culture, to say, you know, she has an attitude, or she's angry. You know, it's a lot of times it's the crabs in the barrel syndrome. They're really setting it up so that people can perceive you in a certain way, because, you know, all that fiercity over there, they want to block it. Yes, honey. And you're like, what? The woman? Yes, honey. And they can't. So a lot of times I just say, you need to just sail and get to know a person as a human being. And you will understand what their intentions are, what their character, what their real motives are. Because I keep telling you, a beast is a beast. You can't hold a beast in a cage too long. A beast is a beast. So just sit back and enjoy the ride, and you will see the true colors of people. Someone put up something the other day on Instagram. It was like a quote to some effect of, you know, this pandemic is surely revealing a lot of people's true friends, true family, and true, you know, just their true identity. And I totally concur. I totally concur.
I concur too. I mean, I can count on one hand how many people have actually checked on me. I mean, what about you, Mrs. Tina? Have people actually called, checked on you to make sure that you were okay during this whole entire time?
Let me tell you, there is one father that I visit every morning, and his name is Yahweh, God, all caps. And I see him every morning, and I see him every night. And he has checked on me before the pandemic. He has checked on me from the womb, honey, boo-boo. He's checked on me the night my mother and my father, don't you do it, girl. Yes, honey, he's checked on me. So to answer your question is this. The people that I thought would be just automatically saying, hey, I worked out with this woman for years, or I don't know, or I danced with this woman for years, or this woman has given me advice for very serious things in my life that no one knows about, or things that have changed my life. Being a woman, or I call it just having a queen mentality. I had a friend once tell me, she said, you know what, Tina, I love you and I love your heart. And we always share this. In this moment, I'll never forget. She said, my mother told me, and my mother in so many ways did too, but just to, you know, share that point that she gave me so vividly that day. She said, give and never expect anything from anyone. And I said, wow. And it's not that you give because you're like, okay, what I'm going to get back. Because there are some people that float around like that. But that's another philosophy of mine, I feel, that people who float around like, okay, what am I going to get? What am I going to get? They never have a damn thing anyway. Okay. I always say, yes, but honey, you're gag. Because on the ring, honey, because the ring lets you see all the children going around the neighborhood snatching packages. Okay. By the way, all you package snatchers out there, you people going up on people's doorsteps and stealing packages, let me tell you, do it, bro. Do it. Do it. What's the dougla?
That happened to me yesterday, Miss Tina. Someone stole my package.
Call it, that's the dougla. Yes. You don't go, but I'm telling you, you might
no good on that. No good. No.
Well, we are digressing, but it's okay. It's our damn show. Okay.
Yeah.
This is not Andy Cohen land, children. This is not Andy Cohen land. Yes. Ain't no setup. Ain't nobody in the bar ready to throw a drink. This is not Andy Cohen land. This is content. This is reality TV, television, podcast, episodic. So anyway, moving on. This is the thing. I believe the thing that you snatch, and I hope a thief is listening or catches this episodic podcast later. When you steal, you will have the temporary elation of I got it, I got over. Now let me see how much I could get. I don't know what they do. Let me see how much money I can get for my drugs or whatever they do. How they write. Let me tell you, the reason why a thief has to keep stealing is because that pathology of evil, and that could be an older senior citizen's medicine. That could be something very important. Somebody could have all types of things. That piece of clothing could have been for a person's wedding that they have the next weekend, and you took that from them. You just don't know what you are taking from somebody when you steal. So here's the thing before we jump back on the colorism bandwagon is this. Those same hands that you stole with, you are going to be robbed of so many things, mentally, spiritually, and physically. You have to be careful as a thief, because if you notice, Mr. Wizard, a thief never has anything. He constantly has to steal. They always keep stealing. They have to constantly steal. So my advice to you, what does this have to do with colorism? Are you ready? Because Miss Tina knows how to tie it in. Meaning, when you constantly rob somebody of your truth, of their truth, of who they are, and make them feel less than because of the color of their skin, you are robbing people of their identity. And what I'm saying is, if you are racist, or if you are someone that just purely judges somebody on their color or their background, then it will show up later for you. You are robbing yourself mentally, physically, and spiritually. So colorism is like a form of thievery. It takes our minds, our bodies, and our souls, and it depletes us, where we begin to think that we are so much better than people, or we feel as if we're less than, we're not enough. So therefore, you're robbing yourself of your own amazing traits as a woman of color, a man of color, and you're condescending you're being condescending to the own beauty of your own people. So therefore, you are robbing yourself. So that's the point that I'm trying to make. What do you have to add to that, Mr. Woodson?
No, I agree. Like, you need to recognize, or we need to recognize, that we are beautiful, and it starts with you telling it to yourself. And I think that's the bottom line. And being so positive, so confident in that fact that no matter what anyone else says, it doesn't matter. It rolls off of you like water off a duck's back. So, yes.
Well, one thing I appreciate, you're absolutely right. One thing I appreciate, honey, is that a lot of women of color, I'm speaking in my own lane here, is, we have this thing where we go, okay, well, I'm lighter, I'm darker, and I'm, just because I'm lighter, or I'm mixed, I might be able to pass. I told you the story a while back in a prior episode. It's a story. I won't mention any names because I don't get down like that, because I believe a queen will have many different things that she knows about the peasants. but she will never step down from her throne in order to say, here, peasant, let me tell you what you did. She will replace the peasant. So that being said, where I'm going with that is that what you need to do is understand that at the end of the day, we are not better because we are a little bit lighter or we are mixed or we are a part of God's garden. We are part of his greater plan. We're supposed to be different. We're supposed to give our unique gifts to the world and share ourselves. And the reason I'm going into that is because a lot of people, whether it's not just a black thing, you know, that word black, it's more of a lot of Latinos. Experience those things where people are like, okay, you know, oh, I didn't know you were Latino, or I didn't know that you were part Cherokee, or I didn't know, right? Or because, you know, they'll look at your family, or they'll see very light people, or they'll see very dark people. And there's so many extremes in so many families. I know there's extremes in mine. So I know that you can't just say, oh, you know, sometimes I think it's kind of rude when you just say, oh, I thought you were black. That's like, really? You know, so speaking of that Latino thing, I just know one thing. That Latino experience is something. And we have our next guest that will give us her feedback on that. Her name is Jessica Morales.
Hello. Hi, Mrs. Tina, Mr. Joseph.
Oh, look at those hats, honey.
Yes, I love it.
Oh my God. Yes, could you back up just a bit so we can see all of that Latino flair?
Oh.
Yes.
Sorry, I know it's a little.
Yes. Oh, look at y'all serving. So how are you, Jessica? You look fabulous.
Thank you. And Miss Tina, you always look fabulous. And Mr. Joseph, you always look radiant. And I love it.
Well, listen to this, honey. Listen, daughter. You are serving pre-legendaryism. Yes,
Thank
honey.
you.
You cannot stop it. It's nothing you can do, honey, because God has a greater plan. And when you are on the track,
yes, he does.
That's right. He has blessed you. And you are such a beautiful, beautiful soul. But I need you to tell us this. What is it like for the Latina experience as a woman of a darker complexion?
Well, I want to give you a little bit of my background. My parents are from Honduras, and in Central America. We speak two languages, which is Spanish and Garifuna. Oh yeah, and we also have our cultural dance, which is called punta, which is just drums and just the spirit. And growing up, my parents did not teach us of, you know, who's this color, they just taught us love, and we didn't see color. We grew up with all different kinds of music. We grew up with all different kinds of people of different colors and nationalities. So that was my vision coming into this world, you know, born and raised in the Bronx. I had a bully experience when I was in elementary, and it wasn't of a lighter skinned person, it was of darker skin. And I would come home and I would tell my mom, I said, Mom, you know, I keep getting bullied. This girl keeps taking my lunchbox and, you know, just taking my fruit from every single day. So I always wondered, I said, why was she bullying me? And I don't understand. I'm clueless to it. And as I got older, she was jealous of my lunchbox. And I said, wow, I figured that out later on in life. So the bullying always started with not of different race or different, it was just, I guess, jealousy of a lunchbox.
Wow.
But I, as the years went on, I would experience I didn't know you were Spanish, or I didn't know you're this and that, especially when I would go into a cab, which would be Dominican drivers. And as soon as I get into the cab, they change the radio station to hip hop music. So I'm sitting there for 10 minutes of the ride and I'm like, okay, you know, I'm feeling the hip hop vibes, but I want to listen to some Spanish music. So I told him, I said, excuse me, sir, in English. I said, why did you change the station? Oh, you know, oh, you don't like a hip hop? I said, I like hip hop, but I love Spanish music as well. Tú no sabes que yo hablo español. He was,
Yes,
he
honey.
was.
Yes, honey. Don't doogla me, honey. Don't let me do the doogla on you. Yes, honey.
He was red.
Something.
Yeah, so I told him, I said, listen, you can't judge someone as soon as they get into their cab and change the radio station. You don't know, even if it was a white person getting into your cab, you don't know if they enjoying the you know, the Spanish vibe. You don't know what they, so, and I would get that several times in different cabs, changing the radio station, and it hurts. It does hurt. And after a while, I just left it alone because I said, wow, nothing's going to change. It's going to be the same thing. Some of them are just ignorant. You know, they're going to ignorant.
Ignorant. Don't
And
even get the rest of the letters, okay?
yes.
Mission of the
Yes.
yes. Listen, this is also what I want to say to you. It's very interesting that you speak of this because I'm sure there are many instances out there
Yeah.
that people have with just being a darker complexion of any different type of culture or a mixed race, which we will explore very soon. But what I'm saying to you is that I can relate to that situation in a different sense because what I did, honey, is that you know, this is Miss Tina, okay? I would come in, I would feel see, they didn't want to talk about this before. A lot of people, you know, let's keep it like I hate to say that, but let's keep it visceral, okay?
Yes.
Oh, you know, I remember telling them at my workplace, I'll never forget it, at one of my workplaces, I said, and if there was a fly on the wall, they would have seen it. I said, you know what, the culmination of these racial tensions and the way you treat people of color and different instances in which you take advantage of giving us the stereotypes or branding us or just reducing us in certain workplaces. I said, it's going to come to its head one day. And they just looked at me and they were looking at me like, okay, like Michelle Obama said, okay, here's the angry Black woman saying something. Please press play and start our class. I'm sure that's what they were thinking. But let me tell you this. I knew what God was doing. He was using me. He said, let me tell you, I gave you your gift. I gave you your talent. But I'm going to tell you this, as a woman of color, and trust me, my family is beautiful and my friends are beautiful, from white, Black, Spanish, Indian, Jewish. I don't care. Listen, it's how you treat me. And I'm just going, my mind is going so fast because this is one of the exploratory subjects that we never really touched on in mind.
Yes.
You know, people don't want to speak about it. But this is what I did, Jessica. One day I walked in and it was a very, very, I will just put it out there. It was a very judgmental environment. Okay. And I know it's not, you know, okay, you know, that's a whole nother show, but listen, even when my nails were shorter and I was slaying people with 4-inch long nails, I'll slay you with 2-inch long nails too. I knew it wasn't that because there were people in there who had shaved heads and tattoos and nose piercings. Y'all know what I'm saying? All types of different things. It was one teacher, she had green and blue hair with dreadlocks coming out of it, and she was actually Caucasian and piercings and all types of stuff. And I was like, and things drug through her nose. So I said, listen, this is like I can cut my nails. I can cut my nails tomorrow, okay, and rhinestone them and still have on some fabulous jewels with them. And guess what? I'm still me. So it's nothing you can write. So people are going to be people. That's where I'm going with that. So what I did is I said, okay, it's not just something such as, okay, a tattoo or maybe what you're wearing or some nails. I said, it's more than that. So I started to analyze it as the professional that I am. So what I did, Jessica, Mr. Woodson, I walked in one day, and this was just something that was an inclination of mine, but it was also a statement. I always did this. I would play music as my class is coming in. I play music.
Set the mood, right?
So to set the mood, I've always been like that. I've always done that even for my dancers in my company. As you come in, I always said as a dancer, sometimes you would come into a very rigid studio and you would just wait for the director or the teacher to get there. And sometimes as a young girl, I used to say, I wish they would play some music. So while we're stretching on the side, and then one time one of the pianists, the accompanist, he's just start playing music while we were stretching. And I just looked up and smiled. And I always appreciated that moment that he gave us, that preliminary time that the dancers would have before class. But as I digress and go to the left and right and left and right, is this. I put on some Bach as people were coming in. And you know I've choreographed to Bach on many occasions, but I put on some Bach. And I noticed this. One woman looked at me like this. I thought it was the poltergeist, okay? But I kept it on and I kept looking back at her because actually I was playing from my repertoire for the skin, some of my classical repertoire. So I'm looking, and I'm not going to go to work and say, by the way, I'm here, I went here, I did this. No, I don't need to do that. I was musically inclined since I was 5 years old and went to musical and performing arts schools. I don't need to go to a workplace and have to. That's the thing with our color, Jessica, like you were being Latina. You constantly got to prove, how you have to start speaking Spanish. Oh, you Spanish? And then you see that, right.
Yes.
So then you get the woman, she says, oh, so you listen to classical? My head almost rolled off of my neck. Okay. So, but I said, yes. So I said, yeah. I said, are you a classical music lover? So she's like, oh, yes. So then I was like, okay. So I started naming some. I'm not going to go off too much for the show. I started naming some composers and some pieces of work and some overtures that she should be very familiar with from the Lincoln Center crew. And she was like, huh? So I said, well, you need to go get you some tickets and go review some of the concerts. You could go to lincolncenter.org. I said, okay, class, we're getting ready to start.
Yes.
So basically that's my point, is that the condescendence of all of us, even seeing somebody that's not darker skin or brown skin, like even if you see somebody very light, you're like, oh, you're black. Oh, or you have a colored parent. Oh, like looking at them as if they're some type of creature or some strange animal. So can you elaborate a little bit more on what it's like within the circle of Latina for you? Because some people are like, oh, Latinas don't feel like that. Oh, black people don't feel like that. Oh, because you'll get that. But I'm isolating it for you. How have you felt in these over 20 years of your life being judged until you had to start speaking Spanish?
It's not a good feeling. I kind of feel out of place. Sometimes I feel like I don't fit in, and it's not just of being that, or if I'm with the lighter skin Spanish or with the darker skin Spanish, and to me, I'm like, okay, I don't understand this. We all the same, we bleed the same. But when turmoil comes, that's when everyone needs to put in hands and help each other. But when everything is smiley faces, that's when everyone starts to separate. So it's a feeling of not fitting in, and it's not a nice feeling.
Wow.
It's just not. And Miss Tina, I want to go on being in your dance company and you creating and writing the Purple Planet. I love it. I love it. I tell you, I can't wait to see the Purple Planet in theaters, on billboards, because I love how although you had the purple people and the diamond people, the story was based on love and that connection. And we had different languages in the story, but we all understood each other. And at the end of the day, it was all about love. And that's what we need, what the world needs now.
Absolutely. It's about love. It's about love.
I start getting emotional because it hurts.
It does hurt. It does hurt. And you know what? Hold on, Jessica, because I have some more questions for you. Just hold on. We'll be back to you. Wow, that's really impressive. I just would like to get, speaking of that, we haven't even divulged into the area of interracial complexion, meaning someone who might have a white parent or a black parent, you know, to a white parent and a black, you know, to a white person and a black person as parents. You know, what is the collaborative there? Like what are the feelings there? And we have somebody that can definitely bring us into a train of thought with that, because she is a poet, and she is someone who is part of an interracial marriage. Her name is Marcy Morris. She's a multi-expressive fine artist and arts educator, and she combines fine art, poetry, interpretive dance, and forms of creative expression. She's a lover of connecting community and collaborating with creative minds of all ages and experience. And as an art coach, she guides students to tap into their art flow. And she emphasizes the diversity of cultures and the range of learning abilities within art education, lesson planning to instill an inclusive mindset. Marcy believes that the greatest asset of our art education learning experience is from each other and creating together by thinking outside of the box. We welcome you, Marcy.
Thank you for having me on. I'm so excited. I love what I'm hearing from everyone, and sharing your hearts over colorism. And I'm just sending some love out to everyone right now on the whole planet, because we really need that. Lots
Yes,
of healing.
we do. Yes, we do. Well, can you elaborate a little bit on and tell us a little bit of your background as someone being a part of an interracial marriage and having a daughter of interracial experience?
Absolutely. So I was born in 1966, and I was adopted. And so I was adopted by parents who were Caucasian, white, Jewish. And growing up, I met eventually when I was 29, I met my birth parents. And my birth parents, my father's from Colombia, and my birth mother's Finnish, and she grew up in Detroit. So learning learning that I'm Latino, that was, new experience for me. Just being able to meet birth parents. But I won't go on, because it's too much, because that's a whole other tangent to go off on. But so that aspect, as well as meeting my husband, my former husband, around 27, and African American, who grew up in Toledo, Ohio. We had 2 children by birth, my daughter Alana, and Brandon, and our stepsons, who are 29 and 33 now. So that's just like a little bit of the background in terms of the mix of who we are. And then I'll have you ask me questions about what aspects you wanted me to share about.
Oh, the girl, I'm not asking you no question, woman. You are live, honey. You are live and in living color, honey. I just need you to go into what it's like being a parent, like some of just even an issue or a circumstance that
Sure.
I know how beautiful you. I've seen your daughter, and I haven't met her in a personal environment yet, which was coming. And you know our story. I'm coming. I'm coming. But as soon as I get ready to come on that trip, we were prepared to go. This pandemic broke out, but we will be together very soon. I know it in my heart. But I was going to meet her, and I'm looking forward. And I do know she's beautiful. So I do know that what experiences that you've had as having a daughter that might be of my complexion or of Jessica's complexion or just an interracial child.
Okay, sure. So for my daughter, her skin is darker than Brandon's, and Brandon's like maybe medium, lighter skin. And I remember white friends or neighbors, some from the neighborhood, mentioning when Brandon was born, oh, he has a beautiful skin color. You're lucky he's not too dark. So these types of comments, and then just different being asked questions. Marcy, do you consider yourself Black because you spend so much time with Black people. These, this, the comments, and then, coming back and, having to explain and educate, or just distance myself from people who, are just prejudiced, racist.
But let me ask you, I'm sorry to intercede, because Mr. Woodson, I'm going to ask, because Marcy is a great asset and a part of our community, and I always, yes, and she's visceral as much as I know, and I appreciate her. So this is, asking is the best thing that you can do so you can be less ignorant. I believe in that. So what are the things? So I noticed you said I would just leave them alone. And I know that sometimes people, you don't want to be confrontational. But at the end of the day, like, do you find, like, just for me, I understand what you mean. It's like, listen, I don't get down with you. Your philosophy is whack. You're racist. You're judgmental. Why? I understand that. I totally agree with that. But like we are in a situation now, it will come to its head. Don't you think that we are tired of like evading the situation and running from it, because we always have to say, you know what, like what did you tell your daughter? Like, instead of making excuses saying, oh, she's around Black people all the time. Like, how did you confront that? Did you just like back off from it, or did you speak on it at a later time, or use it as a vehicle to help someone?
My experience is, when people ask me the question, I love Black people. I love people of color because I love the whole culture. I love people's differences. I embrace, I embrace race people. So, and encouraging people, you need to connect with people instead of stereotyping people. And then the other thing that I've done throughout my art since my 20s was representing people of color through my artwork. I remember the first time I did it, in terms of creating a large mural, actually at my father's restaurant, and there are people all over the wall, and I'm painting people of all different, skin tones, and also thinking that was a big deal. I know that people, white people were not doing that at the time. I didn't see it a lot. So that was something that was really important to me. And through my art, I think that my children, or I know my children, have seen themselves in a beautiful light, because we're constantly reflecting. I'm reflecting them, and just, the range of beauty in skin.
I have a question.
Really go ahead.
So you said your son is a little bit darker complected than your daughter, or is that what you said? Okay. Have you experienced any, what am I trying to say, discrimination among Black people regarding your children, like maybe being resentful of the fact that they're lighter skin, or maybe making them feel that they're not really particularly African American? I just want to know, has that issue come up at all, or you haven't seen that?
What I did see was, let's see, people would ask if Alana, like if his hair was straight, she would be identified often as perhaps Indian, like from India. Brandon, they wouldn't know, they weren't really sure what he was. So he said, I'm Black, and he's like, and I think he just he was proud in who he was. And I think that his older brothers were proud of who they were, so they set an example for him. He didn't have a lot of conflict with, I'd have to ask him more specifically.
Well, let me ask you this question. So the teapot can get hot. when your son brings home a gorgeous woman one day, or man, I'm just saying, as a daughter-in-law, what would be your preference?
I never thought about it. I'm glad you asked.
Honey, yes, honey, Miss I love you, Marcy. Yes, honey, I get, that's why the kids can't take it, but we're going to get you the answer, okay? That's it.
What would my preference be?
Honestly.
Okay. Definitely. Well, okay, you're talking about race-wise. Is that what you're saying?
Today's show is colorism. Marcy, I can't wait to see you. Yeah.
Okay,
Listen, we're not gonna play those games that these kids are playing on their little podcast. Okay.
Okay.
We're not doing this. Okay. We're not playing WAP. We're not doing the WAP. And by the way, speaking of WAP, I got something for WAP up here today. Okay. I got something for the WAPers up here today. But I'm gonna shout out to, okay, I'm not going to tell y'all yet because I'm going to just release it for the Whoppers. But no, I'm going to let you answer that question. I mean, just be honest to the best of your ability.
I would choose a Black woman because I feel that you're going to get more of the whole truth. And what I mean by that is that I feel that a Black woman or Latina woman would have the sensitivity and the heart and the experience to know the range of emotions, struggles, hardships that he's coming across, that he's going through. When I realized this year that I could not protect my children and that I could not completely be, I could not protect them because of the color of their skin. It really hit me this year after George Floyd.
Yeah. I
knew that although I birthed them, they need their whole community. They need their whole Black community, and they also need to learn about the Latino culture in them as well as I do more fully. So, yeah.
Well, Marcy, I just want to say, listen, I love our show, bro. Isn't it wonderful?
Yes, the guests are wonderful. Marcy, thank you so much for sharing your truth.
That answer is so beautiful. Oh my God. And it wasn't beautiful because, I'm looking at, we're as movers, I'm looking at emotion. And let me tell you something. I'm no astrophysicist, okay? And I'm not no astroscientist. And I'm not okay, listen. All right. I am a woman, and I'm a woman of purpose. I'm a woman of a higher calling. I know for a fact that God has blessed me and I am anointed in His greatness. And that is something no one can take away from me because I have a very powerful intuition and I've always had that. And my compassion is why I have, like that lady Instagram the other day, my compassion is the reason I've held on to certain things in my life for so long. But let me tell you, Marcy, that answer was so honest. And I know I have a feeling like, Marcy, you don't care what color she is. I know it. But basically your preference is somebody that loves your child enough to understand what their obstacles and what this life is like as a person of color. And I understand and respect that answer. And that's the truth. And that's the same way that I would have circulated as a mother of a son that had, is that I want somebody that, yes, if she's Black or Spanish, because she would understand and have more sensitivity to my son's or my daughter's situation, and I will be able to relate more to a person who understands the plight. But if she was white or with a Jewish or Indian, whatever, and she understood, see, I think that's the problem. What is that? I
Wow.
think that's the problem these days is that people are lacking the sensitivity to people of color. People of color, and I'm glad you touched on that because it's not really about what is that. It's not really about what color she is. It's about her sensitivity, his sensitivity to your son or to your daughter. And I think that's what's really the problem is that, like I said, when I was at work, Marcy, and just in places of education, the sensitivity, me and Mr. Woodson Joseph talk about this all the time. You'll say something, and people are just like that. They want to receive your class, they want to receive your instruction, and they want to receive your talent. But they don't, it's weird because it's just like they don't want you, they're not inviting you to their houses, they're not inviting you to yes, let's really talk about this. Like I told Mr. Joseph, there are people that are around you 6 to 7 days, if not 5 to 7 days a week. And they are actually they're not seeing you as someone that they would bring around their family. You are a woman that is in a profession and they have studied with you. You have this is the thing, Marcy, and everybody who's watching live, they know that I'm just a fast thinker. Trust me, I'm very articulate. But I'm not going to do anything that's prepped and and I have all my background here, but I'm just speaking viscerally right now because there's so many thoughts that's hitting my head. That when are we going to stop saying, I find that people of color are more open. We are like, come over to my house, come over to my barbecue. Yeah, you could come over. And it's like, yes, And it's like people of different backgrounds. You'll see them have a function and it's nothing but all what there. It's people of Caucasian descent all in their party, all in their wedding, all in the function. And I've been saying this for years. And it's like, you're like, come over here with us. Let's be a part. Our people are so inclusive. And I've always had an issue with that we are always inclusive. And a lot of other cultures are not. What is that?
When you mention that, when you're talking about being embracing and inclusive, I think about no matter what neighborhood it is, and in Philly or wherever I am, where I've always been embraced. And I was going down, I was with a friend of mine. She's Asian and she's new to West Philly. And we went down to an area where it's all Black. I would say it's pretty, you don't see too many Caucasian or Asian people here. And this is my comfortability because I don't judge the people. I connect with the people. I reach out. And I think that's the difference between a lot of people that need to start looking at people as people instead of looking at people as colors, and embrace the beautiful colors. Yeah. It's like embrace people's hearts. Embrace people's hearts. Look into people's eyes. Feel the connection. And so because I experience so much love in neighborhoods, whether I'm alone or wherever I am. Of course, there's dangers all over the place in this world, but you reach out with positivity, you're going to receive more positivity.
Yes, but Marcy, a lot of times I appreciate that. I agree with that. But a lot of times, like I said, what we could be very positive, and a lot of times our positivity is circumvented by us not being included in their circles socially. Like we're not invited to their functions. And a lot of times, Marcy, I've said this before. I'm busy. At least I was. I don't have to beg to come to your function, but I just find that we're so people of color. We're very, I think that's why we do have the issue of colorism, because certain people of lighter complexion are sometimes okay. You could come to my house because you look half white.
Mm-hmm.
Come on, y'all. Let's be honest here. Okay, you look half white, so I don't have to really go. She's black, but she's there. They're looking, going, oh, she's not that type of black. I've been in those environments. I have seen that, and I'm not light. Okay, so I've seen people just like get up close to me. They could look at my hair, or they could smell me. I've been listen, and I was like, honey, I'm Dior all day. Listen, but I'm like, listen, and my bag is perched. Okay, listen. But besides that, it's just all of the, the key into the side. I'm like, I would just watch her like getting close to me to like look me up and down or smell me as if, she's the woman of color here. And then ask my husband, oh, so what do you do? They ask him 55,000 questions. What does he do? And I'm like, okay, Tina, maybe you're being sensitive, because I do believe that we are sensitive because we've been through so many different types of things with this thing called colorism. If you're lighter, you're in the house, the slave master. The darker, you're in the field. So therefore, we had a lot of upset with each other. What do you think about that, Jessica?
Hello?
Jessica, yes. What do you think about us not being included in certain things, but we, like just how you embrace certain Latinas of any color complexion, and then certain things they're like, oh, well, we're not going to ask Jessica because she's a little darker. Now, I know that you have spoken on some things done to you like that, where you're the darker Latina. So you're like, oh, I didn't know about this function.
Yes, Miss Tina, definitely.
What's the deal with you, girl?
Yes, and I want to get to when you said that they come close to you just to see if your hair is slick straight and to smell you. Because I've had that experience as a teenager through dance. I was teaching these Japanese girls my cultural dance, and the way they will study me, like they will be like close in my face and into my space.
Yes.
And I used to stare at them. I'm like, why are you so close to me? Oh, no. We just want to, try to get the step. I said, well, you can, step back at least 2 inches. But it's interesting how it's like they want to get into yourself or your soul. But then if it's, a different way around, they find that's violation, or, you're being too strong, or not just angry, but I always say passionate, because I don't like the word, the angry Black people. I say we passionate. The Latinos are passionate. The Black people, we're just passionate because we're just tired. We're tired of, you this, you that. Why can't we express ourselves? That's my
absolutely. And thank you for your feedback on that, because I do know that there are some truths, as me and Mr. Joseph always speak. There are a lot of truths that a lot of people are not willing or ready for, and I believe in the Martin Luther King way, and that's just my opinion, and that's just me up here today saying my point. I'm not speaking for anyone else, and I want to say that again. I don't speak for anybody else but me. I've been like that most of the years I've been on this earth. I don't speak for anybody but myself or anything that I represent. Because if my name is attached to it, yes, you damn right, I have something to say about it. You're damn right, I have a right to say how you representing me, how are you looking, and how you come across, because that is my brand. And as a woman of color, we are always, as we're saying, we are looked at even more on a microscopic platform. We are studied, and it's amazing. I've had, and then Marcy, it's very. I'm gonna ask you one last question because I want to get your feedback with this as well before I go. But I was just thinking, I've had people, my company, oh my goodness, over the years, through dance and fitness. I mean, like in many shows before this, Mr. Joseph has talked about, I've seen so many cultures, and Mr. Woodson traveling around the world, and myself, there's not any race I probably didn't see so far, except a real, like, indigenous African, because I haven't been to Africa yet. And I'm looking forward to that, which we were planning with skin, but that's a whole nother circumstance. But I just need to say is that sometimes we are so embracing to other cultures, and yet we are studied like, is she worthy to be around us? Or we have to prove ourselves, or we have to have them get to know us. And I just find, like, if we like them, or like Marcy, if we have a heart like you, or like us, and we like, oh, I like her, or I like them, come on into my party. Oh, you want to come over here? It doesn't even matter to us, because it's like we have food, we have beverages, we have music. Come on over. But before they invite us, I have had people that I have introduced of Caucasian background. Listen, I got time to play. Of Caucasian background. And I have introduced, not to say everybody you introduce needs to be like, oh, stuck to your shoulder. Are you kidding me? I'm very private. I like to say. But what I'm saying about this is that it's amazing how they will come to a point where they will invite the person because they're white to their situations and their events before they invited you. And they knew you, a woman of color, years before they knew that white lady that you introduced them to. And that lady will be at her wedding. She will be at her bar mitzvah, to all types of events. Okay. And you're like, really? And I know what it is. You don't want to invite people of color. And that's what it is. We have to get down to that with colorism, because the colorism affects us, like Jessica says, because what happens is the lighter skinned people are feeling, oh, I'm around their circles. They're comfortable with me. They're not comfortable with you because you're darker. And a lot of times they won't voice that, but that psychology it's actually creeping in. Am I making sense? To their psyche, because they're lighter and they're always invited to the events with certain darker people before. What you wouldn't see any dark skinned people at a certain event. So we walk out of those events feeling, oh, I must be elite. I must be better because I'm invited to all their prestigious events. And that's where it lies right now. So what would be your advice, Marcy, on how you say you just leave them alone, but in your family, like how can you make those two worlds meet? When have you ever had any family members say, well, we don't want all those black people over our house?
Sorry for the long pause, because I'm thinking about that question very seriously.
Mm-hmm.
I am thinking about when my mother first met my former husband, or heard his voice and said, "There's a pattern here. You're you're dating black men," and I said, yes, I am, because she recognized that his she said, where is he from? His voice is different. So she wanted to know. And at first, I know it was uncomfortable for her.
Yeah.
As she got to know my husband, she gradually broke down those stereotypes and those barriers, the things
Yeah.
that you have. My father was open, but to my family. However, I got to call out my family first. But seriously, you have to get real. And my father, I know you asked the question, but I think about how my father responded to one of my cousins who's Colombian, and she wanted to come up with her boyfriend to meet me. It was in Florida at the time. And my father responded, he speaks Spanish and I don't know him. and he was not allowed to come and spend time with us. And from that point, that damaged my relationship with my cousin, who I have not seen now in almost 15 to 20 years, and it severed everything.
That's exactly my point. Thank you. You know, Marcy, before we let you go, I'm so honored to have you as a guest today, as we will be talking about some projects that we are releasing very soon together, and we will elaborate on that. And you know what I say all the time? Let me mute this person. You know what I say all the time is that at the end of the day, your truth will set you free, because your truth will help somebody that needs to understand how they can be equipped to deal with a circumstance that they don't want anybody to know about. Like a lot of times we go through a lot of different things, and what we do is we don't want to say anything because we're like, you know what, I don't want to disturb the peace. As I showed earlier with our clip from Michelle Obama, someone even with that background and that educational experience, they're still questioned. They're still looked at as, who are you? And an angry Black woman. You know, it's a very delicate subject sometimes. So I appreciate your honesty, because I have experienced it as a woman of color. Is that when I get to an event, it's as if they're looking at me like I'm a golden child because there's no other Black people. And it's probably me and the other Black person that I brought with me, or me and the predominantly colored entourage that I brought with me. So it's like, okay, well, what is this? And then they're looking at my table like, okay, when they get ready to leave, maybe then we can start having certain conversations. So I've been around that. I've been around that through fitness too. You know, it's like a person that's of mixed descent. They're like, oh, but she's Black. I'm like, really? You understand what I'm trying? Is she really Black? Like, what is Black to you? Is Black to, you know, we have to really redefine what Black is for a lot of people of color and a lot of people of non-color, because a lot of times we have let people set the precedent of this is what we think Black is. Black is like, it's a diaspora. You can't confine Blackness anymore, because you have beautiful fruitage, such as your daughter, such as Joseph, such as myself, such as Jessica. You have a lot of different beauties coming from integrated and interracial families and interracial marriages. So I want to thank you so much for joining us today and giving us your feedback on Beauty in the Spirit. And we thank you, and we look forward to many collaborative sessions with you.
Thank
You're
you,
welcome.
Marcy.
Thank you for having me on.
You know, Mr. Woodson, Marcy was definitely a fruit of knowledge, a fruit of truth that we need to have more in our discussions on interracial and colorism dealings with today's society, because a lot of times, even through this racial civil war, whatever we are coining it as, a lot of us, no matter what, I keep saying, we're still not comfortable in our skin.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we're still leaning towards I'm sorry, I'm gonna say it, the WAP, and a lot of these things, that's a whole nother show. A lot of these things with, you know, we're still engaging in all of the European accents to make ourselves feel as if we've made it, or we are worthy.
Mm-hmm.
And I just see that we as a people, we don't collaborate enough.
Mm-hmm.
As soon as we see a one woman of color or a man doing something, we're like, oh, she's doing that, I can do it better. We're so competitive with each other. So it's like I keep telling you, it's the crab. I call it the crab in the barrel syndrome. It's colorism. It's like, oh, I could do it. I'm going to do exactly what she's doing, but I'm going to do it on the low.
Mm-hmm.
You understand? Instead of you saying, let me call my sister, let me reach out. And I told Jessica before, we're going to bring her back up in the past. I never forget. I always used to say to her, bring her up now. Okay. I used to say to her, You know, if and I'm just going from dance and fitness because that's what pretty much I'm going to speak on because that's my truth. I can't speak anybody else's truth but my truth.
Yes.
Okay. A lot of times, I'm just going to say it as a director or a woman of color that's a producer or a choreographer. I find sometimes people are like, oh, you and your dance team. I'm like, dance team? But if I was white, you would be like, oh, that's that company. That's that company of New York City. You know what I'm trying to say? Or that's the dick. But if I'm telling you that I'm a professional in my field
Yeah.
and my resume is online and it's visible to the public, you've seen some of the stuff. How are you not in your head transferring? How is it not transferring into you that that's a professional dance company or that's a professional fitness? It's a fitness professional. You know what it is, and then I'm gonna let y'all put it because child, like Marcy said, it's passion, honey. Jessica said it's passion. Listen, but see, some people will perceive this as angry black woman, and
Yes.
and watch this. I'm far from angry. I'm living for my Friday night. After this, I'm gonna have a nice glass of wine.
Yes. Yes.
Okay, yes, I am. And I'm going to soak my feet in my little footsie thing with some peppermint oil, honey, and put some shea butter on that hair and say, God. Okay, yes, I am. But what I'm saying, stay focused, Tina. What I'm saying is this. A lot of us, we don't realize that we do not put ourselves on certain places mentally because we're colored. The things I told Jessica that people would try on me as a woman of color, as a director, they will not try it. I'm sorry, on a person that was Caucasian. I have seen it so many times, and yes, I'm saying it. It is, and as even as a renter in a studio in the city, I have had people do things that they would never pull on a white dance company, and I'm saying it. They would never try that with certain dance companies that were Caucasian. And now that we have this awareness, trust me, people will concur. Oh, yes, you're absolutely right. It's not happening now because all hell is breaking out.
Mhm.
Okay, but at the end of the day, if this pandemic wasn't happening when we weren't going through this atrocity in history and of humanity, it would still be the same cycle of who are you? What are you doing here? And I need to watch you.
Yes.
And that's my point. Jessica, could you please speak on that, having the experience of you feeling because you are a woman of color that people do certain things to you that they wouldn't do to somebody else?
Hello?
Yes. Would
Yes.
you speak on how people of non-color would judge you or color will treat you
Yes.
less, you know, less
Like less with like
than
less of
somebody that is
respect.
right. Exactly. Can you elaborate on that?
Yes. I feel like also it happens they see my color and I could be in an elevator or I could be online. They look at me and they're talking about me in Spanish and not knowing that I am Spanish and I can understand what you're saying. It's rude and it's disrespectful. So that's when I had to, okay, here we go again. Now I gotta come out and say, what was the reason of you talking to me? I'm talking about me in Spanish. I understand fully everything that you're saying. So they're shocked. And I said,
Shameful.
yeah, and
Shameful.
I say, just be mindful. You can talk about whoever, but be mindful who's you don't know who's who. You don't know if I spoke Asian or I spoke or Russian. You don't know these days. And it's just sad. It's rude, it's disrespectful, and I, after all these years, and we're in 2020, it still goes on. And I would say, especially here in Houston, Texas,
Mm.
there are Honduran people here of lighter skin, which is called los indios, and they look at me and they say, "Oh, you're from Honduras too," and I'm like, "Okay, well, why are you shocked?" we're mixed. In Honduras, we all mixed. We have the lighter skin and we have the darker skin. Why are you shocked? And I don't, it just fathoms me, Miss Tina, Mr. Joseph. Sometimes
To you, we've had this discussion in private circumstance, in private environments. But you know what? There's nothing that, like I said, some truth is necessary to be revealed, and there's some truths that I believe that are meant for you to work on spiritually and in a meditative sense. It's for a life lesson. So I believe the people that go around like this colorism thing is really a mental psyche for a psyche, and for a lot of people, especially of color, because they continue to buy that bleach. I have seen women whose hands are a whole different color from their face and their neck. And me having just abrasions over the years, that's a whole nother show, from different things, like if I'm doing press holds and my sister told me the other day, she said, you know what, Tina, I really thought about it, that you for years, you constantly were on your elbow, you constantly were, and I didn't even think about it. I was like, wow, like and just do grand technique constantly on your knees. And when I was younger, I never looked at those things. But as I got older, I was like, wow, the things that you do to your body. That's why I say you have to go. And I tell you all the time, you got to put shea butter and oils, because it's a personal color. You also got to take care of your skin.
Yes.
You have skin, all cap. You have to take care of your skin and your wellness. So I just was like, wow, but it just makes me realize that a lot of us, we really have self-hatred, that we want to say, you know what, maybe if I was Cardi B's complexion, because if you look at even Cardi B and Meg Thee Stallion, that right there is something that's like, okay, and I'm not going to touch too much on that because this show is not about them. But then Beyonce, that she was collaborating with Meg Thee Stallion, and then you don't see her. I mean, I'm just saying. Okay, like I just don't know if people are like, if I don't want to spend too much time with the dark-skinned girl. Listen, y'all can be scared, but I'm not. Okay, I'm almost half a century, so I'm unbothered. Okay, I'm walking contortions. But what I'm saying,
yes.
listen, I'm so grateful for what God has done for me and all my family and all my friends in my life, and how He keeps me. And I respect all of them. This song I play with Beyonce, I live for that new song. Okay, Find Your Way Back. Yes, I live for it. Okay, it's a derivative. It's a derivative off of Janet Jackson's Go Deep, but that's a whole nother story. But I live for her and Janet. But what I'm saying is that, is there sometimes, and then they're gonna be like, people, well, she had Kelly and Michelle. Okay. My point is this. Trust me, they're going to do it. But what I'm saying is, I have different organizations, and I'm not going to see, it's places I can't touch, that it's like I've had it told to me. That's what I'm trying to tell you. That's why I have my own reasons for a lot of different things in my life. Like I said, through the racism in collegiate environments, the things that I've heard behind the walls, that people are like, no, did they say that? And I'm like, you are so blind that you wouldn't even believe me anyway if I brought it to you on a cassette tape. Back then we had cassette tape. You wouldn't even believe it if I played it for you, because you're so into the circle of being, I need to be Europeanized. Like I don't need to be connected to too many black things. I've seen that too on collegiate levels. It's people that you go, damn well, I'm sorry, y'all have to judge me. Damn well you did not listen to rock before you got to college. And you know how I could tell? Because I have some people in my family, and my mother she loves Barbara Streisand. So I have a background of a vast, and my sister's into music, a vast musical background. I've heard one of my aunts, she used to play music all the time when she would come over. And she just was a music nista. So I've heard a lot of different types of music as a child. So what I'm saying is that this person, one time, I knew they didn't understand the catalog to certain things. So when I was looking, I would observe them. I'm like, they're really like, oh yeah, I love it. I'm like, Really. So a lot of times we're so ashamed about it. I just feel we have a lot of self-hate, y'all. I can go on, and it seems like I'm going like this, but I'm not. It's like I just go, what makes you just want to bleach your skin if it's not a skin discoloration problem? What makes you, they have many shows on this, but what makes you, what is the psyche behind that? That really has to be a self-hate. And then if you see a woman of a lighter complexion or you see a white woman, see, I'm not going to hate anybody white that's not racist to me. See, you can have a black person that's a colorist. I've had black girls be colorists to me just because you've been with me.
Yes.
I've had black girls be colorists and you've seen it. I said, wait a minute. But it's just like she just simply is something because, and I put it together later. I said, you know what? She simply doesn't like me because, and I didn't even know about this colorist thing like that. I said, because I'm lighter than her. She simply just doesn't want to deal with me because she's like, her chances are better than mine in this world of dance. And I'm telling you, I've experienced it. I'm like, well, what is this? What is up with this woman that doesn't like me? And then it comes to find out, I'm like, I get it. She comes from a background that her whole family they're colorists. So she's dark, but she doesn't like herself. So when she looks at me, she's like, that's the color that I should have came out. Am I making sense?
Yes. And Miss Tina, do you think also is how we were raised, or when we go out there and I guess the people that we surround ourselves with? Sometimes I wonder, I'm like, is it, did they learn this from, how they were raised or how they were taught this? And those are questions that I have.
I don't think that they were taught. I don't think they were taught that directly. I think they were taught that subconsciously through behaviorisms that the household had. Meaning, okay, we're coming back from the movies. It's like, hurry up and get in the car because they look like they might rob us. He might not have said that they're black boys standing there and they might rob us. He might not have said that. But in the in that repetition of that circumstance, every time he says that in a circumstance, the child sees that it happens to be black people. So therefore, in the subconscious, it's like, get in the car fast or move because there's a group of black people that they might rob you. So what happens is they say, oh, I'm not racist. But really, they have never said, stay away from them black people, because that's the card that they use so they can make themselves feel better by saying, I'm not racist. I don't say that about black people. I have black friends. But do you invite your black friends to certain barbecues, certain functions? I mean, they might not want to come because they I'm sorry, Tina, don't say it. But they might not want to come because they just don't eat what you eat. Okay, they might not want to come because they might have to go to KFC after. I'm just saying. But I mean, if they do come, they're coming to your event off of the love that they have for you, and you should come to their event off of the love that you have for them, like Marcy Morris said up here earlier. It's all about that. You said it too, Jessica. It's about that love. Go ahead, Mr. Joseph.
No, I just was going to add, also, I think it's through the images that people see on TV and in the news that kind of shapes their idea of what they think about a certain group of people. And I think it is subconscious. It's not really a conscious thing, that you start to make assumptions and place those assumptions on an entire race of people because of the color of their skin. And just with the commercials that we see, like, it's always the lighter complected people of color that are like the princesses or the people that are like living in the nice houses. These are the images that you see. Yes. And there's always a darker complected person who's like maybe playing the criminal or the bad guy when it comes to those type of movies. So I don't know. I just think it's a matter also of the images that people see on a consistent basis that kind of shapes their ideas about groups of people that we just don't talk about.
That is well said, and I absolutely agree. So that on that note, I just want to thank you so much, Jessica Morales.
Yes, thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Tina. Thank you, Mr. Joseph.
to you and be safe.
Yes, be safe.
Thank you.
Bye, Paula. So on that note, we're going to give the audience a quick view of a episode that really touched me.
Oh,
I wanted to bring you in here, what I call my legacy room. Because when we talk about foundation, this is what you stand on. These black women of all shades and hues. Ruby Dee.
Yes.
Do you know what those women had to do so that you could even be on television? That's your foundation. You never heard Ruby Dee call another black woman out her name. Hattie McDaniel, Cecily Tyson, Septima Clark, and Rosa Parks, do you know what they did? Do you have any idea?
They stayed on that bus.
Rosa did. What did Septima do?
I don't know.
You need to know. Your foundation. Pearl Bailey. Do you know who she is and what she did?
No.
And yet you call yourself an entertainer? No, ma'am. I want you to come over here and I want you to read these lyrics to Dorothy Dandridge. Go ahead, read those to her.
Oh man, it would be embarrassing.
Read them to her.
Pop my butt, pop my butt. Pop my butt, pop my butt.
Do you know what pop my butt meant to Harriet Tubman? Do you know what that meant? It meant a whip. It meant a whip to her. Rosa Parks sat on the bus. Read that to her. Go ahead.
Everything I want, I have.
Really?
Everything I want, I have.
You know what she wanted? A seat on a damn bus.
Sit down, she was tired.
Yeah, and you sing that. And what are you talking about? Go ahead, tell her what you're talking about when you say it.
But I turn up where I'm at, cause I'm a frost bitch, I pay the cost to be the boss bitch.
Oh, you telling Sojourner Truth you the boss bitch? Really?
wow. That was an amazing clip.
Was it not, Mr. Woodson?
Oh my God.
I see your face, and I could feel you from there. Me and you we are so on the same. We're in the same quilt.
I don't even know who is it Septa Clark? I don't even know. I need to do my own research. The one that was in the picture with Rosa Parks, who that is.
I believe she's a woman. I could be wrong, which I'm going to research. That she was someone who took a stance before Rosa Parks. That they said that she was the darker complexion woman that they never really talked about.
Mm-hmm.
So I was wrong, or she took a certain stance earlier.
Mm-hmm. And then Rosa Parks.
And then it was right. So I don't know. I could make sure. No, your history. Okay, but at the end of the day, I could get back to it. Like, and I think you're right. We need to do a show reviewing that. But isn't that something?
Yes, and who is it? I know that's somebody I think from Love and Hip Hop. I mean,
I think her name is Hazel E. Yes, she's a very beautiful young lady. But
her skin is completely different. So she's been bleaching her skin, or was that just the makeup?
No, actually, she's fair. She's very fair.
Okay.
You might be right. You know, that's the interesting. You're gonna have to do another show, because you know that's another thing. So fair people might bleach their skin so they could be even more white. Listen, that's a whole nother show, right?
Yes.
Honey, all I'm saying is you gotta look at that neck. And the
different skin tone, yes.
Look at when you have to beat for the stage, we're beat for the gods, honey. You have to go on like the lion. Okay, that's a whole nother. But when you outside day to day, your foundation is completely different from your ear, your neck, your hand. That's something that's a little bit, and if it's not vitiligo, then you got vitiligo people out there who suffer. There's people who really have issues out here, and we really need to pay allegiance to people who really have skin conditions and are battling for their color every day. So on that note, Mr. Woodson, do you have any final suggestions on how we can just treat ourselves as people of color?
I just think that we need to stop comparing ourselves to other people and having only one definition of what beauty is. Whether it's European beauty, like everybody's out here trying to make their noses thinner, trying to make their skin shades lighter because they're trying to appeal to this certain look of beauty that they feel is what is beautiful. And like you said earlier, God made us all. We are all different shades. We are all different. And we all need to appreciate the beauty that we have within and also on the outside, and celebrate it. Celebrate it. Tell our little Black boys and Black girls that they are beautiful, that they do not need to change anything, and they are worthy. I think if you start that early, then people won't have as many identity issues as they get older, and they'll be able to fight off those negative comments.
And you know what, Mr. Woodson? I love it because as educator, I could listen. I agree. Absolutely. Yes, we need shirts, honey. We need shirts that say absolutely.
Mm.
And I just want to point out as educators, and I applaud you as the excellent educator that you are.
And so are you.
I applaud you on servicing our children and educating them in dance and all types of subjects and giving them the tools that they need to continue in this next century as a woman or a man of color. And I really want people to know that we're not up here for the semantics. We are up here because we actually have something to say of something.
Mm-hmm.
And a kiki is nothing, honey. We were cackalack.
Yes, always.
Honey, if anything, I taught the children how to kiki.
Yes.
Yes, honey. I've taught you how to kiki. I've given you your kiki circle. Okay, and I have footage to prove it, girl. So at the end of the day, speaking of that, something touched me so much, especially with our kids. You know, we love our kids, and today we're going to get ready to wrap up. But I just have something for our audience, just to give what our beautiful youth should be doing.
Brown skin girl, your skin just like pearl. It's the best thing in the world. I never trade you for anybody else singing.
Says she really grew up poor like me. Don't believe in nothing but the Almighty. Just a little jeans and a pure whitey. She never dream forever be nobody wifey. Yeah. She wanna mean a pretty but your heart is a miss. Play you like a villain cause she caught in a way. Tonight I am walking away. 9 to 5 mine and I grind, yeah. Tonight I might fall in love. Depending on how you hold me. I'm glad that I'm calming down. Can't let no one come control me. Keep dancing and call it love. She fights it by falling slowly. If ever you are in doubt, remember what mama told me. Brown skin girl, your skin just like pearls. Your back against the world. I never trade you for anybody else. A brown skin girl, your skin just like pearls. The best thing in all the world. I never trade you for anybody else. Pose like a trophy.
Oh, I love it.
Love it. So beautiful. Brown skin girl.
Brown skin girl, light skin girl, honey, light skin men, dark skin men.
All of it.
Honey, toe.
Yes.
Chamois.
Chamois. You know, also we need to shout out to Fenty by Rihanna for having all the different shades of foundation.
Absolutely.
Rihanna.
Shout out, yes. Let's keep to that. Come on.
Yes.
Yes, bro. Thank you, Rihanna. And she's Rihanna to me.
Rihanna, yes.
But then she's a daughter, honey. She's a daughter because my daughter models for her. One of my daughters models for her. Okay, yes. Shout out to all my beautiful daughters and Mr. Woodson's daughters. I have daughters, honey. I have foster kids too.
Yes, you do.
But honey, I have daughters. And let me tell you, my daughters are beautiful.
Yes.
They are beautiful. And, I mean, they are making their way. They are finding their way. And their skin is beautiful. Their bodies are amazing. Their hearts are pure. Are they perfect? No. Am I perfect? No. Is Mr. Joseph perfect? No. Is Marcy perfect? No. Is Jessica perfect? No. Are any of us perfect? No. But the beauty comes in our imperfections. And wrapping this show up today, I just want to say this to you. This documentary of dark skin girls, it was a man that's named Shan Berry. He's also one of the producers, Shanson Berry, and the directors for Dark Girls. It was produced in 2011, and it documents colorism within the African American community, a subject that is still considered taboo. It contains interviews with a lot of African American women describing colorism, and it has how colorism, like we spoke today, has played in their lives with notable African Americans, including Viola Davis, also detailing her experience. And me, myself, I remember Viola's experience when I went to Juilliard with her. She absolutely had her moments in there as well as her triumphs. And I applaud her because I was a woman of color that was in Juilliard with her. And I remember that in the times that we had to form coalitions in order for us to have certain celebrations for Martin Luther King Day. I was part of that group where we had the first Martin Luther King celebration because we united as a student body, and we spoke to the student government, and we said student activities office, and we said, something needs to be done for students of color on this campus, and we got it done. And we had I remember very vividly, we had a beautiful performance, and Viola, myself, and most of the Black students or colored students played a role in participating with that. I believe also Robert Battle, yes, he was also a soloist, and I think I had a solo I performed. So we had a very, very beautiful display of that in a school that was not predominantly colored, because of course I went to Performing Arts School of Color like yourself. But when you're in environments when you don't have much diversity, as we had back in the day, and we still have, and it's not brought to light, you don't have to have the angry Black or the angry Black man syndrome fighting for everything that we should have. If they don't want to do it on campus, take it off campus, rent out a theater, get all the color students together, say, let's go fund me. We're going to rent a theater over here and have all the students perform, and we'll put it into a theater, and we'll have our own Black history performance. I mean, if that's the way that you need to start the initiative to get diversity in any school or any type of workplace, sometimes you have to step out on faith, and you have to get it done yourself in order for people to take you seriously. Will they always give you the recognition? No. Sometimes they actually will turn their heads and act like they didn't even see you as a part of that. But you will always know that you are a part of history, and you are a part of something great, something that no one could take claim to. Only thing is, I ask that people of color stop hating themselves in this coloristic society that we have been emblem to accept. So I ask all of you, take the initiative of self-love, unity, collaboration, and also, like Mr. Joseph said last week, having the system of gratitude and gratefulness. So, you have any final words for us, Mr. Woodson?
I think you said it all. I think we just all need to love ourselves, accept each other, and just continue to be the beautiful people that you all are out there. Just let it shine. Live out loud, as Miss Michelle Obama said. Live out loud.
Absolutely. So we encourage all of you to live out loud, and we will take you out with Cynthia Erivo.
I've been walking with my face turned to the sun. Weight on my shoulders, a bullet in my gun. Oh, I got eyes in the back of my head, just in case I have to run. I do what I can when I can, while I can for my people. While the clouds roll back and the stars fill the night, that's when I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home, far across the river. Can you hear freedom calling, calling me to answer? Gonna keep on keeping on. I can feel it in my hands. Early in the sun begins to shine. We're gonna start moving towards that separating line. Oh, I'm waiting for a mighty water. You know I got a made up mind. I made up my mind. And I don't mind if I lose any blood on the way to salvation. And I'll fight with the strength that I got until I die. So I'm gonna stand up, take my people with me. Together we are going to a brand new home. Far across the river, you hear freedom calling, calling me to enter. Gonna keep on keeping on. And I know what's around the bend might be hard to face 'cause I'm alone. And I just might fail, but Lord knows I try. Just as bad as I I'm going to a brand new home, far across the river. I hear freedom calling to answer. Keep on keeping on. I can feel it in my bones. I go to prepare a place for you. I go to prepare a place for you.
Beautiful.
Beautiful. Make sure you guys subscribe to our Dance Company channel and get yourself a t-shirt, our mugs, and our apparel. Skin Dance Company, www.skindancecompany.com. Beauty and the Spirit. Join us for the next episode. See you soon. Bye, Mr. Joseph.
See you, Mrs. Tina. See you guys soon.